Encik Tony Pua
to curate a show for Georgetown Festival.
Saudara pengacara majlis yang dihormati, Yang Berhormat Datuk Muhammad Rashid bin Haji Asnun, Timbalan Ketua Menteri 1 Pulau Pinang, Yang Berhormat Tony Pua, Ahli Parlimen PJ Utara yang juga menjadi seorang penggerak daerah seni dan warisan Pulau Pinang, Wan Naimah, warga Pulau Pinang yang kita banggakan dan raikan, Encik Valentine Willy, seorang pakar seni terkemuka bukan sahaja di Malaysia tapi juga di rantau Asia Tenggara, Dato' Rosli Jaafar, sekarang pengurus besar PDC, bakal pelukis, Yang Berhormat Lim Hock Seng, Ahli Esko Kerajaan Negeri, Yang Berhormat Danny Law, Ahli Esko Kerajaan Negeri, Yang Berhormat Rai Heng, Adun Kawasan Komta, Dato' Ken Yang, arkitek terkemuka, juga kepada semua div-div kehormat yang bersama dengan kita pada pagi ini. Selamat pagi dan salam bersih buat semua. Terlebih dahulu saya ingin ucapkan terima kasih kepada semua pihak termasuk PDC dan Yayasan Haji Zainuddin kerana telah hadir bersama untuk menjayakan program ini. Pada masa yang sama, saya juga ingin ucapkan terima kasih kepada PDC dan anak syarikat yang telah ditubuhkan, yang telah berjaya menganjurkan program pagi ini. Khususnya satu program yang khusus, yang unik, yang istimewa, dan saya rasa akan jadi satu destinasi seni terunggul di Malaysia, iaitu Museum Seni Pulau Pinang yang diilhamkan oleh Ilham Penang. Now let me begin by again congratulating all the parties who are here today to witness the signing ceremony. I have to thank, of course, Yang Berhormat Tony Pua, because when we first had this idea, I tried to seek assistance from Penang Knights to see what we can do to get private participation and sponsorship for the idea of arts, of heritage and arts district. And of course, we know there are a lot of Penang Knights in the Klang Valley. So naturally, I asked the MPs there, Tony, apart from a few others, as well as Penang Knights here in Penang. And we are pleased, of course, that Tony managed to get a Penang Knight who have shared the same passion, the inimitable Wan Naimah, a personification of elegance and good breeding. And it's through her passion that she's willing through the foundation to come up with 30 million ringgit to do the Penang Art Museum. Let's give her another round of applause. Now, it is not easy to venture into art and heritage. I think it is difficult for Wan Naimah, but throughout the discussions, and Valentine drove a very hard bargain. But throughout the discussions, you can see that her passion for art revealed her determination and her belief that Penang can restore its glory days of being the art center, not just for Malaysia and Southeast Asia, but one of the principal places for Asia. And I think that this is a very worthwhile venture something that will leave your footprints on the sense of time. You know, when we first started with this idea, as mentioned earlier by Yakuma Tony Pua, we could have easily converted this site, and was the original intention, as explained to me by Dr. Rosli Jafar, into another R500 million ringgit commercial and residential development project, maybe even another compound. But when we look at it, looking at the shop houses, looking at this site just on the edge of the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Georgetown, I was thinking, do we want another concrete jungle? Why don't we do something not only for the community, but not only for the community, but also for arts and culture, for our children. And I felt that if we can give that space, that over 4 acres space back to the public, at the same time add value by making this a center of heritage and arts, I think our children will thank us for this. So it was not an easy decision, because it has never been done in Malaysia. I mean, Joe also knows when we started with the Georgetown Festival, never done in Malaysia, but we boldly ventured where others feared to tread. And look at what Georgetown Festival is now. We hope and we believe we will enjoy the same success, because we have passionate people behind it. So what? $500 million? To hell with money. Let's do something for art and culture. So instead of getting $500 million, we are putting in 100 million. And of course we thank Puan Mana for coming up with 30 million of that 100 million ringgit. But I still have some doubts. Why do I have some doubts? And this is not in my speech. You better listen carefully. I prepared text, I'll go through afterwards. This is not in my speech. But why do I have some doubts? Because we do not know whether it would be economically sustainable. No, much as we want to be idealistic about it, the realities and the practicalities of government must be addressed and faced up to. In government, you must have money. No money, no talk. Especially when you run a government. A government that is without money, without any financial resources, is a failed state. Make no bones about it. You can be the most idealistic, but when you don't have money, you are a failed state. So of course, we want to make sure that this project can be economically viable. We do not want to be like a very famous emperor of one of the 5 southern dynasties after the fall of the Tang dynasty in the 10th century, Li Houju, a very famous poet as well as artist, so famous that he devoted all his time on art, and that I think eventually led to the downfall and extinction of his dynasty. That is what will happen. I'm no artist, of course, but I want to learn the lessons of history so that we will not be criticized for not only failing to heed its lessons, but also for causing unsustainable financial losses to the state. So I approach this, I must admit, with a certain degree of trepidation, until I decided with YB Chow for us to make a trip to London, where we visited South Bank. And we know South Bank, in our early days, it was not a place to visit, because likely you'll get mugged, you get robbed, you'll be lucky to escape with your lives. Even taxi drivers, when you told them you want to go to South Bank, they ask you, get off the cab, because they are not going there too. But look at South Bank now. South Bank is one of the coolest and hippest places in London. Why? Because of the Tate Modern Art Gallery. Because of the Shakespeare Globe, it has brought in urban regeneration. And I think that showed that art can also be an economic catalyst and driver. We do not know whether this will also be replicated here, but seeing its success in London, it has given us some heart that this venture may not be so foolhardy as it seems, but it can bring about not just international recognition for Penang, but most important of all, financial benefits in terms of being an economic catalyst and driver. I really wouldn't know whether we will succeed. But as I always say, I prefer to fail trying than fail to try. And it's in that spirit that we launched formally today the Penang Heritage and Arts District in recognition and in celebration of Penang with the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Georgetown, and also a celebration of all the wonderful artists in Penang as well as those who originated from Penang. And this signing ceremony would hopefully launch Penang into another dimension. Now, going back to the more realistic, the realities of the entire mechanics of these operations. For this 5.5 acre site, 1.5 acres will be allotted to the Penang Art Museum. They will be granted a 30 plus 30 lease. The museum would cost 30 million. For the next 30 years, you'll be required to, of course, invest a further 30 million. The Art Museum will have 45,000 square feet of gallery space, which will again make it the largest in Malaysia. Once again, Penang leads. Now, this investment by Yayasan Haji Zainuddin requires a strong hand to make sure that it is viable and sustainable. We don't want to be caught in the trap of having a first-class art museum, but third world maintenance. So no first world infrastructure, but third world maintenance. And that's where our great Valentine really comes in. He is a known lawyer, but is now renowned as an art collector and, of course, as a museum gallery owner. We hope that after this is done, you will count Penang as your spiritual home. Okay? That means you got to stay here, you know. Now, in addition to the gallery space, the museum will offer a cafe, a restaurant, a library. I presume that must be an art library, a 200-seat auditorium, art storage facilities, as well as other amenities. Museum will be free for school-going children, while adults will be charged a nominal rate. Ilham Penang, and this will be the name, Ilham Penang. When completed, will certainly go a long way towards making Penang an international destination of choice and contribute immensely towards Georgetown remaining as one of the most livable cities in the world. And of course, more importantly, we hope that it will be a catalyst for urban regeneration in Penang. I do not want to talk about other efforts done by major cities, but since this is the first that is done in Malaysia, we want to seek support, financial support, even from the federal government, Because whilst we may have our differences, I'm sure we can work together on art. We seek donations from everyone. I know I'm treading on dangerous ground here, but in Penang, we like to believe that donations is still not a dirty word. Principally because this government doesn't receive donations. So we hope that the public and even the federal government can come forward and help us to make this a success, not just for Penang, but I think for Malaysia. And perhaps after that, more will see the benefits of imbuing our respective cities with art and culture. I believe that this is the first time you see a public-private partnership on art, culture and heritage. And the PDC, Yayasan Haji Zainuddin Public-Private Partnership will be an example of how government encouragement as well as private stewardship can make something so nebulous but yet so wonderful as art and culture is a success in Penang and in Malaysia. I do not want to give the details of what we are going to do here. I think Tony has expanded on it just now. You can all look at that in my speech. I will ask the press to mention that in my speech, all the ideas and the proposals that we want to do in this art and heritage district. But I want to also add one final point, that we hope that this will be a focal point for the community. And to be a focal point of the community, we know that it must be easily accessible. And to show our commitment to make this heritage and art district a success, it must be easily accessible. Under our new transport master plan, there will be an LRT line cutting across this heritage and arts district. So this will make this easily accessible. So you can walk across or you can hop on, hopefully to an LRT in the coming years. The heritage shop houses will be retained wherever they could be. We will make sure that they will also be able to contribute to land and air of authenticity, and of course the ambience and atmosphere necessary to signify that this is a Penang Heritage and Arts District. Once again, I would like to thank all the art societies and galleries that have contributed to this exhibition this morning. The Penang Art Society, Penang Chinese Brush Painting Art Society, Penang Oil Painting Society, Penang Watercolor Society, Urban Sketches Penang, Batik Art Collection, the Art Gallery Penang, and Eliza Koo Gallery. I also like to thank again the PDC team for working together, and it is today and the future that when you talk about this exhibition, it's not only for today, but also for a week until 13th of September 2015. Today's event bears testimony to Penang's rich and diverse heritage, traditions and cuisine, which we must continue to nourish so that in our efforts to transform and develop Penang into an international city, we can still retain the unique soul of Penang, which is unique to old charm. As I said just now, it's very easy to say, oh, You have Penang food here. We don't want Penang food to dominate everything else. Because when I talk Penang food, everybody will come and remember Penang food. It is unbeatable. But we want this to be also known, not just for the culinary excellence of Penang food, but also for art, culture and heritage. And I think this is where resides the soul of Penang. And all of you here who have attended this simple but rather meaningful ceremony, signing ceremony, you're all here because you are soulmates for Penang, heritage and us. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih yang amat berhormat, and may I request yang amat berhormat